Thanks for joining me today. How have you been? I've been busy, you might say, crazy busy. And I guess if you're like me, we all find ourselves overwhelmed by busyness. It can get the best of all of us. Today, I'm going to look at a book called Crazy Busy, a mercifully short book about a really big problem. As the title says, it's a short book about busyness. It's a quick read, and I found it really thought-provoking, and I would recommend it to both Christians and non-Christians alike. Stick around, have a cup of tea with me, grab your favourite beverage, we'll sit down at the kitchen table here and have a chat about it. Come on. Thanks for joining me. We're talking about busyness today, and if you think about it for a moment, you'll realise that we actually feel guilty when we have nothing to do. What do we do when we're sitting down and we've got nothing to do? We take out our phone, we take out our electronic device, and we check email, we check Twitter, Facebook, all those type of things. Thanks to technology, you can be constantly distracted. And the boundaries and rhythm of rest and work begin to merge together, and we find out that we're never really quite working or resting.
Like it or not, our society often judges us and ranks us according to our busyness. Although we complain about being busy, we also find that it validates us. We somehow assume that our value is connected to our busyness.
So I found this book to be really thought-provoking and practical, and it's to the point. It's only 128 pages, and it's short and easy to read. Now, the brilliance of this book is that Kevin DeYoung, the author, isn't just presenting this material as an expert. He's not saying, "Look at me, I have it all together in this field. So follow me as I lead you down this garden path." I guess what he does say is, "Hey, look, I'm struggling with busyness as well. Here's how I'm thinking about it, and I hope this will be helpful to you." There's 2 chapters dealing with parenting and the dangers of unchecked technology, which I believe is worth the asking price here in this book. And these are the 2 chapters which I think non-Christians will also benefit from reading. So instead of a how-to book, we find ourselves walking side by side with Kevin as he thinks through the root causes of why we're crazy busy, why we're so busy. He takes us to the heart of the issue, and for a short book, we're taking through quite a lot of subjects from the previous 2 that I mentioned to a view on sleep, discussion about whether we're loading ourselves up just to save face, so whether we're taking on stuff just to make ourselves look good when we don't want to, what sort of busyness is actually necessary, and quite a few other topics, all of which are topics that I'm constantly trying to work through myself. So that was really good. That I really enjoyed that. So what is the antidote to being too busy or crazy busy? Is it the opposite? Is it to become lazy? Well, no. Like with all things, we need to moderate our busyness. As Christians, we need to remember that we were created to work. There's a school of thought out there that says work is actually part of God's punishment for disobeying Him, and that's not true. Work was made more difficult as a result of our rebellion, so moderation, like everything, is the key to overcoming busyness.
The antidote to busyness of soul is not sloth and indifference. The antidote is rest, rhythm, death to pride, acceptance of our finitude, and trust in the providence of God.
So how do we moderate our busyness? How do we know when we're too busy? The author, Kevin, says that when we're no longer doing what Mary was commended for in Luke 10. So do you remember the story of Mary and Martha? Jesus comes around and Mary sits at Jesus' feet and listens to him while Martha's running around busy, like a chicken with a head cut off. So when we're no longer sitting at the feet of Jesus, we are too busy. Let's unpack that a bit more. When we no longer have time, or when we're too busy to spend time with Jesus, which is quietly and unhurriedly reading the Bible and in prayer. Reading the Bible is God's word to us, and prayer is speaking to him. And so if we're not doing that, we're not caring for our souls, and not spending time at the feet of Jesus, not doing these things causes us spiritual damage. But what about physical warnings? Is there physical warnings? Well, there are physical warnings that we can look for as well. You'll find that when the worries of life are getting us down and we start to stress out, we become irritable, we become upset and easily angered, there's some things to look out for, there's some signs to look out for. And when we notice that this is happening, we need to stop, step back and reevaluate our workload and our priorities. So we live in an age where there are so many other things tugging at us, trying to get our attention. And somehow our lives end up being like a junk drawer. You pull out the drawer here, the junk drawer, and it's just full of stuff. You don't know where to put it. And that's our life sometimes. We've got all these jobs that don't fit with our priorities. And they're all stuffed in, and we're trying to get them done, and we're losing focus on our priorities. So what we need to do when we start feeling crazy busy, step back and don't take on any extra stuff just to look good to others. And that was a really good point, something that I found myself struggling with. Well, that's my take on the book Crazy Busy. And for a small book, I found it well presented with a lot of things to think about. If you've read the book, let me know what you thought in the comments section below. Don't forget, visit my website, my blog. There's a more in-depth article about this book there. I'll put the link in the description box below. If you like it, share it with your friends, give me a like. And remember to read more and think more with your favourite beverage. Okay, see you next time.